we wanted it to be legitimate, and we counted a lot of reps, man.
You guys did the other thing you did too that was really cool, and it was the way you did the burpees in it was just with the piece of tape on the wall. And I thought that's perfect because
I've been working with Spartan for so long, and I have pitched ideas. God, we should be recording this stuff.
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I mean,
I've pitched ideas
in a minute, but we might as well throw this in and I can edit it in later.
Like there's a burpee zone at every Spartan race.
Yeah.
All you have to do, CrossFit does it actually. The Matt Frasers that are 5'7" versus the Brent Pikowski's a little disadvantage. But if you had one piece of like nylon tape running across the guy's side and the girl's side where you had to jump up, at least it would force you to reach up high, get better hip extension, and you have to slap that tape every time. It'd be a game changer.
Yeah, but
that's where I got the idea, because I've pitched that a couple times, but hitting that tape just really cleans up. It really cleans up the reps.
Yeah, well, and you can't just have a universal line, because you got Bethany, who's like 5 foot-ish.
Nothing.
5 foot nothing. And then, guys are like 6'3", 6'4", so you got to have a wide range. So when it was like, put the piece of tape over your head, and I'm like, well, that's simple and
well,
perfect.
when you've been an online coach for 6 years, your brain's always working, trying to find ways to gamify. I love gamifying stuff and creating competitions, and just like with Deka, finding ways where there's not too much judging that's super hard. It's impossible to do anything where all judging goes out the door, other than run to point A to point B and have somebody at the finish line. But keeping it to where it's easy to judge, but it can be gamified, man. I'm a firm believer, been doing this a long time. 85% of the people walking the planet, this has actually been studied. Approximately 85% of the people walking the planet get through life without ever actually competing in something. They've never towed a start line. They made it through middle school and high school. They never competed in the sports. They've never done the local triathlon or 5K or whatever marathon. They've never done the Murph, and all of a sudden, they're presented with an opportunity to test themselves. And most people, I've learned, when that opportunity is presented properly and graciously, everybody's got a little bit of competition in their bones. And so anyway,
you know what? It makes me think back to my martial arts past, and we used to have. We didn't have quite the exact stats numbers, but it was pretty safe to say 10% of the people that took part in martial arts competed. The other 90% never stepped foot on the mat, never competed, never did anything like that. And what you guys have kind of done now is you've taken that 90% of the people in a gym that have never competed and given them a simplified, easy outlet in that gym to, like you said, to gamify, to compete. And that's really cool.
Dave, you just, you hit the nail on the head, my friend. It is one of the key reasons, I was sitting in Joe's kitchen late 2019. It's so funny with COVID. I almost said late last year, but late 2019. And I said, Joe, in 10 years, we've gotten 7 million people off the couch. But here's the deal. 95% of the people walking the planet, we are never going to get to the mud and the barbed wire in the mountains. Never. Yep. But there's things that we can do. I'm thinking of one specific thing we can do to really cater to the 95%. Creating something that was extremely low barrier of entry for all levels of fitness. If the cyborgs want to come in and compete, they can. But really and truly providing that start line and that test for all those people that don't even know that they're not even thinking about being tested, but the gym owner or the fit pro, the coach can say, I've got something for you. You can walk and you can breathe. So there's a damn good chance you're going to finish this today. We're going to get your benchmark, and then we're going to go to work for the next 2 to 3 months. You're going to become a little better version of yourself by devoting 3 or 4 days a week to this program that I have here. This is going to become your second home. And guess what? Your mark's going to improve. We've tested thousands with Deka, and we have, in 2020, we had a 99.2% completion percentage. And I get geeked up. Like, I shed some good tears sometimes about how amazing it is to see people testing themselves and just jumping for joy. And the fact, and they say, every time I put on an event at a gym, I'll get 3 or 4 people that come up and say, that was the first time I've ever competed in anything in my life. And it was amazing. So yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun.
All right. So we're like,
this is what always happens when we do these, man. I just create rabbit holes and we just dive into them. I apologize. It's your show,
so
man.
We're like 10 minutes in, so we're gonna actually introduce ourselves and say what we're doing here. So welcome to
luckily, every time he answers on a show, luckily there's an editor cleaning shit up.
So welcome to the OFX podcast. I'm Dave Claxton. Along with me is my counterpart, the compact Canadian cyborg, and I did that one just for you, Yancy. Bethany McChesney.
Love that.
That's amazing. Hi.
And today,
I love cyborg.
Obviously, we have the original cyborg himself, Yancy Culp. Thanks for joining us, Yancy.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Life gets pretty hectic and busy right now, but when you reached out, I said, man, let's do this. I love, I was actually born in British Columbia, so I'm kind of, I'm a Canadian at heart and grew up in Texas, but yeah, BC was my first home. So anyway, man, I gotta feel like I got a close attachment to all the Canucks.
Yancy, we kind of already talked about how the birth of Deka. So you were talking with Joe on the couch and trying to find a way to get people that aren't interested in the mud into a competition. So just for the listeners, just quickly go over then what Deka is. And it's not just one event now. You have 3 different events. So how did that come? What are they?
So first off, Deka, our quick elevator pitch is it's the decathlon for all levels of fitness. You know, we had the decathlon, we had these other big fitness tests. We wanted to create a very popular and at one point in time, hopefully well-known functional fitness test for all levels. It's you versus you. It's for everybody. You're competing against yourself. Make it gamifiable where you earn that mark. And as I say, you go back to work and that mark improves. So quick backstory. When we first dove in, to answer your question, you know, the 3 events, when we first dove in, it was all about the big Deka Fit event, the 5K version, you know, going to be in the big, the first one was going to be March 21st, 2020 in the Denver Broncos indoor training facility. We had 1,500 people coming and COVID ripped the rug out from under us. And, Jared Cogswell and I were sitting in Lifetime Fitness in Denver, and we said, we got to find a way to get in the gyms. It's a great product for the gyms. We were already doing Deka classes, and we had an amazing foothold in Denver, and it was starting to kind of spread out of Denver. And I said, let's, you know, we had this thing called the Deka Lab. Funny true story. Old abandoned Kmart. I mean, a brand new Kmart isn't that nice, but an old abandoned Kmart, that's a crazy deal. Well, we set up the Deka Lab in this 150,000 square foot old abandoned Kmart. And we did all these tests. We had people coming in, Robert Killings, the Rose Wetzels, and people came in. They were testing. We were testing from the slowest to the fastest and everybody in between. And one day I did this real short version. It was kind of a Deka mile. It was 1,600 meters prior to every zone. And then we did just the Deka zones together. And that's when our idea about having formal events inside brick and mortar facilities all over the country, eventually the world, came about. And of course, the affiliate program, which allows us to mesh with these, allows these gyms to mesh with Spartan. Now they're a part of the Spartan brand, Spartan Deka brand, and they get to put on these events. But even bigger than that, if you sign up for my gym tomorrow and I'm a Deka affiliate, Bethany or Dave, I can test you day 1, or within that first week, you earn your Deka strong mark. And then eventually your Deka mile mark. And then we go to work. We go to Deka classes, whatever classes. It could be a CrossFit box or a HIIT box gym, whatever. You improve, and we periodically retest, and we get to show you that needle is moving. So yeah, those are our 3 baseline events. Deka strong, no running. Deka mile, each zone preceded by 160 meters of running. So when you're done, you've run a mile, 1,600 meters. And Deka fit, each zone preceded by 500 meters. When you're done, you run a 5K, probably the most popular running distance in the world. And now all 3 of those, the zones are identical except for 2 minor modifications. Zone 4 and 8 we changed them just a bit. In Deka Strong and Deka Mile, it's a med ball sit up versus a med ball sit up throw. And it's a dead ball shoulder over versus the dead ball wall over. And that way, the gyms don't have to have the med ball rebounders or the walls. All they need is fitness equipment. So, all right, that's my long elevator pitch to your question, my friend. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh, that's great. So then you mentioned the affiliate program with the gym. So how does that work?
That is, man, we could dive in with a 6-pack of beer in 2 hours on this one. It's amazing. I won't take that long, I promise. But we have, look at that.
There you go.
There might be wine in this. I don't know, Dave.
Bethany, cheers.
Anyway, cheers to you, brother. Anyway, so we have hundreds of Deka affiliate gyms across the country. Many are Deka Strong affiliate gyms. And getting down to brass tacks, those affiliate gyms pay us $99 a month. That's just a basic fee. You're in. You pay that and you are 100% in. As long as you have at least one line of equipment, meaning one piece of equipment for each zone. And what that allows you to do is formally test your members. What that also allows you to do is put on, you guys have probably seen our Deka Strong and Deka Mile events. They're happening all over the country. We've had like 60 so far, and even I think a couple overseas, maybe one or two. And so you're able to, Spartan, we lift up the registration. So you go to Deka.fit and you register on our website. Most of them are $39, pretty low price range. And you show up. Normally they're anywhere from 50 to 100 people show up. So do the math. Let's say 100 people show up. So $3,900 of gross revenue. That gym gets to keep 75% of that. They're making a couple grand. One event they're paying for 1.5 to 2 years of their affiliate fees. Done. With one event, we encourage, and a lot of our gyms are already doing this, and they're seeing the great wealth. About every 3 months, once a quarter, put on an event. So you're talking about 8 to 10, a chance to earn an extra 8 to 10 grand a year. And for 4 days of just celebrating fitness, 50 to 100 people, some of your members, normally we see about a 70-30, 70% are current gym members. But the wonderful part about that is they're able to invite their friends, families, coworkers, neighbors that aren't current members, gives them a great excuse to get them in the door. And, you can, you get the DJ going, get some loud music, and you're pumping up, maybe have beers and whatever afterwards. You're having an actual event in a time where big, huge events aren't real conducive with COVID. You spread 80 people out over 4 or 5 hours. We do 30-minute waves, about 8 to 9 people per 30 minutes. So the gym's never packed with all the people. They're kind of coming and going. It's been very COVID friendly. For the most part, in some states aren't able to do it. Eventually, it could easily turn into a couple hundred people at these gym events. If you go up 6, 7, if you have 2 lines of equipment and you're having an event, we launch. Let's say it starts at 8 a.m. We launch 2 people every 7-8 minutes. You launch 2 more, and you have judges. Have 6, 7, 8 judges, counting reps, watching movement standards, and when they're done, they've earned their official Deka Strong mark. We even lift up the electronic check-in. You walk up to the counter, Dave, 30 seconds later, you've signed your electronic waiver. You've checked in. When you're done, you've got your Deka mark card. We plug your score in right there. And then that night or the next morning, your time populates our global leaderboard. So you can see where you stand with the age groupers and the cyborgs like the Hunter McIntyres and the Sam Briggses who currently hold our Deka Strong marks. Anyway, I hope I answered your question there. There's a lot more to that. Really and truly, we shouldn't just leave it at that. We should mesh. So bring us back to this and somehow, because I know you may have a lot of questions, but there's so much more to the affiliate program that I want to make sure your listeners know about, because almost in every major market in the United States now, we have 1 or more affiliate gyms. Richard and Forrest Bouge reached out to me yesterday, and they're like, we're going to come down to Dallas for the March 27th Deka Fit. Is there an affiliate up in Boise, Idaho? I looked on the map. It's like, absolutely. We've got one about 5 minutes from you. So they're literally driving down the road and able to train for Deka Fit at their local Deka Strong affiliate gym. So we're having a blast with this whole Deka thing, man.
Okay, just quick. I want to veer from what I was going to do or what we were going to do for 1 sec. And I would like to get on the prediction game and back him. and I don't know if it's Bouge or Bogue, but Forrest.
I always say Forrest Bouge, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know
He's
either.
a client of mine. I should have that right.
Anyway, I think, and I've seen him post this online, that he's going for the record. He's going to try to beat Hunter's record for the strong. And I think that he's one of the few people I know of that has the potential to do so.
Yes,
every bit of, it's not to the point where it's so heavy that Hunter has the big advantage on him. So I actually think that Forrest, best of luck to you, buddy, but I think you can do it.
there's only two zones where he has a slight disadvantage, and rowing and skier, when you have the longer levers, there's a slight advantage there. But Forrest has an engine for that kind of stuff, not for high rocks where things are really heavy and a lot of people just get kicked out of that. I designed the Deka zones in a way where, like I said, if you can walk and breathe, I wanted there to be a really good chance that you're going to be able to do it. My 71-year-old mom can step in and earn a Deka mark. It might take her 4 times as long as me, but she can earn a mark. We've had 60, 70, 80-year-old people that aren't even fit do it. But also on the same day, in the same arena, with the exact same weights, the same movement standards, the cyborgs can step in and turn themselves completely inside out. And I'm telling you what, you nailed it. Forrest, in that environment, there's very few people walking the planet that can hang with him, because he is a freaking machine in the right. You know, all these virtual tests. You just our Deka test. He came in and just smoked the floor with people. So I think he's one of the few people walking the planet that could give Hunter a serious run for his money at 11:59.
Nice. Yeah, I think so too. I'm excited for that.
Did you guys see Lauren Weeks just ran our second fastest time ever at Trainer Zone Fitness in Sandy, Utah on Saturday? She tied Corinna Coffin. They're both now 14:05, which is about 20 seconds and change behind Sam Briggs, who is going to be very, very hard to beat.
Well, I was going to put again, this is something I was going to do later, but I'll jump in now. So like I said, think that's the Deka really suits someone like Forrest, but it also suits Bethany, because she's another one. She came third in the OCR stars, but I had Hunter's thing, and I cannot wait to see her get down and do a Deka.
Yeah, I was going to the first one in Denver actually until it got shut down. So I did high rocks and I loved it, but I'm pretty small and the weights, the sled pulling really destroyed me. So
yeah, I was just looking at the elite roster for Jacksonville. Are you any chance you're coming to Jacksonville in March?
This is the second time she's been asked this in 2 weeks.
It hurts me every time someone asks me this because I want to be there so badly. We're in Canada. So we're right now we're limited to essential travel only across the border. And so we can't really in February.
Yeah. Well, we are working on a couple gyms up in Canada for affiliation, and I hope to have a spot. Where exactly are you, Bethany, in Canada?
I'm just 2 hours east of Toronto.
Okay. Well, we hope to have a couple gym spots where you can come in and soul crush.
Amazing.
Deka mile.
I'll be there. I'm a gym owner, but I don't have all that equipment yet.
So well, we need to talk, because we have equipment. Actually, we have a sneaky little Spartan Deka. We now have equipment in Canada to start doing what we do. You've probably seen some of our road shows where we'll go to gyms that they're not affiliates yet. We'll bring the equipment to them, a couple lines of equipment. We'll put on the event, and it gives them an opportunity to earn a little money. To maybe they have 2 or 3, like most gyms we find don't have tanks and they don't have the rams, and maybe they don't have a ski erg or something, but they have some of the stuff. So with a couple $1,000s, they're able to get at least one line of equipment. And once you have one line, you can formally team with us. And then once you put on one event and you get your 50 to 100 people there, like I said, now you're like 1.5 years, 2 years in the good on your affiliate fee. So we set it up in a way where you cannot lose. We will not let you, we will not let this be a bad situation. As long as you have the wherewithal to put on a couple events, you're going to make a little money, and you're going to celebrate fitness. And really and truly, your members, I love seeing the cyborgs, but this wasn't designed for them. This was mainly for those people that just want to be a little better version of themselves that come to your gym. And not everybody is made for the mud and the barbed wire. Maybe someday they are. We'll slowly convert a lot of them, but to give them an opportunity to earn their first finish line and see where they are. And then like we always say, if you're doing a good job as a gym owner, it's their second home. They truly consider that's their second home. And for you to give them a great opportunity to test them periodically and actually a test, and this was the game changer, a test that people all over the world are doing. Right now, all over the United States, people are doing it. So it's like you have this comparison, not like Murph and other things like the marathon or the Ironman. Those are great tests, but guess what, people? 99% of people walking the planet can never do that.
Right.
And we flip that on its head with this. So we'll talk. We'll get you. You'll be an affiliate in no time, my friend.
Yeah, I love that. We'll for sure talk about that.
All right, so I wanted to talk about something. Back at the Spartan Games, you guys had the Spartan Games. You were obviously heavily involved in that. And it seemed to be a bit of a massive coming out party for Deka because it granted a ton of exposure over YouTube and everybody's talking about it. And I think it was definitely one of the highlights of the event. How has that exposure affected you guys? Have you seen an increase from it? I mean, obviously that you set all your records there. You had a ton of great athletes run through it. And it seems to have given a respect level to the event itself. How's that all gone off?
I think first off, hearing people like Sam Briggs talk about once she understood the concept and Christy O'Connell's, and there was a lot of that female field was deep. I mean, it was really deep. We had Jacob Hepner had to drop out last minute, which would have kind of, the men, that would have given us at least one of those high-level CrossFit type athletes. But on both sides, it was thick. But to have people like Sam, and we had Sam on the Spartan Deka podcast that Jared and I do, and Christy and those types who are very well respected, to say what, to see them turned inside out one, like it was, it's like I kind of compare it to the 800-meter run. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not that bad. It's only half a mile. Well, go sprint the damn thing, and trust me, you're going to go climb behind the building and want to die. It's the same thing with Deka. It's not crazy heavy or anything, but when you go zone 5 red line, so to see the Ryan Atkins, the Hunter McIntyres, the Sams, the Christies, the Krennas and those types, and Lindsays, and just rolling around, the famous Ryan Atkins photo, him rolling around, freaking dying. They earned a lot of, we earned the respect of a bunch of badass athletes. But for them, the light bulb moment came on that, you know what? Looking back on that, everybody I know could do that. It hurt me because I went so freaking fast. There was not there. I purposely didn't put anything in there that's going to knock out a lot of the people. So they love that. And I think the masses are starting to figure that out. And you nailed it. The Spartan Games help that. So we're sitting at like, I think 2 million viewers. And the second day that episode did well. And, so hundreds of thousands of people are watching, and they did a pretty good job. You could kind of see each zone, and the light bulb moments come on for the viewers saying, wait a second, I think I can do that. Where all of our OCR, a lot of people, even though we've had millions of people do it, a lot of people see that stuff and it scares the piss out of them. Deka doesn't scare very many people. And that's what we wanted. So yes, it was a big coming out party for us. And it's a true story about that. And it's, we didn't decide to do the games until right up to the friggin' games. There was not all this big preparation. We were on late night 3-hour calls, all hours of the night. Dave Watson's stuck in Singapore. He's our freaking VP of everything. He's stuck in Singapore. We're doing late night calls and just planning the 10 events, getting the athletes in. I mean, I'm on the phone. Everybody's on the phone. I mean, 3 or 4 days out, we still had a few athletes. We still had a few spots that were not filled. But yeah, it made sense for Deka. And we laid it out on a graph. I literally graphed all 10 events. Aerobic and anaerobic. Let's say aerobic is 1, anaerobic is 20. So we graphed all the athletes and we graphed all the events. And the perfect world, you wanted, when you average the 10 events, if they were 10, that's perfect. It's like that middle of the road, perfect athlete. Deka kind of gave us that. I knew that Ryan Atkins and Hunter McIntyre could go toe to toe. I knew somebody like Lindsay could score a pretty good time in this, and she did. She ran a 14, which is an amazing time. It just so happened that, if you look at the results, Lindsay, I think, still has a top 10 or top 12 all-time mark. So it allowed those athletes that were kind of very strong runner. Like we could take the top 10 people that finished top 10 at Spartan World Championships this year, put them in the Deka Strong Arena, and they're going to drop a fast time. Yeah. So it literally lived right in the middle of the road. You got the 6-hour bike or the run, you got the Highland Games, and all of a sudden you had this Deka where, whoa, this is going to be a knockdown drag out. And that's exactly what it was. So the spotlight that it gave us was fantastic.
So then your first event is coming up now it's in Dallas, I believe.
March 27th, Dallas.
March 27th. So who's the big name showing up here? What's your predictions, podium potentials?
Because of COVID, we will not have as many. It's kind of like our Jacksonville event. We were looking at the roster, the Elite today. You just don't have as many people that are flying in. We had James Newberry flying in from Australia. We had everybody was coming in for last year's March 21st event. So what you're going to end up happening, and luckily there's a lot of talent in Texas. You have the Victor Casadas, and you have the Alex Walkers and the Chris Roglowskis and the Preston Burnett's and Caleb Yates. And I could go down a list of, there's going to be a bunch of badasses there. You're just not going to have, we're not in a situation where we're being smart with our budget. We're not going to do what High Rocks did. I love High Rocks, but we're not going to throw $10,000 at it. We're probably going to have something like a stadium type podium budget. If you know about that, it's like 800, 500, 200, I think, if I may be off a little bit there, but something kind of in that range. So the elites can earn a little money, have a competitive podium. But I would say Victor Casada will be very, very hard to beat. I think Derek York will come in very hard to beat. I think Nick Riker's going to try to be there. Jack Bauer will try to be there. Those are 4 people. Keep in mind, that's the 5K version. The mile and the strong we don't see a ton of separation there. You do see some of the high level CrossFitters start to drop off at the mile. And with the fit, you're going to see that. You can't fake 5K of running. It's 3.1 miles. Just like in High Rocks, you can't fake that. That's 5 miles of running. So, yeah, like a Matt Frazier can't step in and beat Hunter McIntyre at that. That's not going to happen because it's freaking 5 miles of running. Well, same with Deka Fit. I think, if you had a face Stinning or somebody like yourself show up, Bethany, all of a sudden you're hard to beat because it's those 500-meter repeats, man. If you have, let's say you're an Olympic level miler or a 1,500-meter runner, or Olympic level 5,000-meter runner. You guys have seen the zones. There's a lot of strength endurance in there, but they're not going to be anywhere near as fast as some of these other athletes, but they're going to be able to handle it. So they're going to be able to drop a pretty solid time. But so you're going to see a lot of Texans, to answer the question. People that kind of that, Louisiana, Oklahoma, there's not a lot in New Mexico, but some people will drive in. Forrest and his dad are thinking about coming in. To say if Forrest comes in, if Forrest makes it, my money's on him, period. But Derek York, a lot of people don't know Derek. He's a client of mine. Derek can run with the best of the best. He can run with the Mark Batrices and the VJ Joneses of the OCR world. Just doesn't have a lot of experience with OCR yet. Derek will be hard to beat. Of course, Nick and Jack, those guys are going to be awesome. Alex Walker, pretty sure she's going to be able to make it hard to beat no matter what she shows up for. A client of mine, Alex is 90 minutes south of me in San Antonio, but I think Chris Roglowski will definitely be there. A name a lot of people haven't heard of, Megan May, who she's number 7th or 8th in the Deka Strong and Deka Mile leaderboard right now. She is a cyborg. This would be her first year of really jumping into OCR heavily. She's 36 years old. an amazing fitness background, a college field hockey. She is a badass, folks, and she's going to do some damage this year in OCR. But if she shows up for Deka Fit, I'm pretty sure she will. She will. I guarantee Megan's on the podium.
Nice.
And she's a name that most people have never heard of.
And I'm with you, Jack and Forrest, if either of those guys show up. Forrest, obviously, we've already spoke how amazing he is. Jack is one of the few people who's actually already done the full. So he has that advantage of knowing how to pace himself and everything. He was part of the testing.
Jack did it. He did it in the testing at Kmart. You know.
That's right.
Jack Ryan Kent ran 29 and Jack ran a 30.
Yeah.
And that was so that kind of, if you want to do some math, that gives you an idea. You know, Ryan busted 30. So you got to figure so check this out. This is kind of fun math. If somebody is a 16-minute 5K and they're 14-minute in Deka Strong, that's a 30. But of course, you can't use that exact math. You know, what we find, it's funny, like people that are good runners, so take you, Bethany, and myself, my zone times are faster when I do Deka Mile, okay? And when I just do Deka Strong, my zone times drop a little bit. That I can be running really fast in 160 meters, and I still recover a little bit and attack that zone a little faster. Well, for certain athletes, that's not the case. Their zone times drop in Deka Mile compared to Deka Strong. A typical high-level CrossFitter, that's going to be the case. So depending on the athlete, like if you take somebody like we'll use Ryan Kent, good runner, you know, he's actually, even though he's running a strong, slightly above lactate threshold, 500 meters, his body is still flushing out the muscle lactate that he built up, crushing that zone. And he comes in and hits that zone probably a little faster than he did at the Spartan Games in Deka Strong. So the physiology behind the different types of athletes with the 3 events is really, really cool. And you know, Jack and I, we love the stats. Jack and I are having fun with all the data. It's going to be really fun when we get a couple Deka Fit events under our belt and we have 20 or 30 high-level male and females. And now we can start layering that data in on some of the, okay, seeing what type of OCR athletes doing good in the Deka Fit arena.
I can't wait to do one. This is getting me so pumped.
I love it.
So I'm predicting when Bethany does do her Deka Strong, she will be a sub 15 minute. And I think she'll be right in there. So what I want to ask you is in Texas, what do you think what do you think is going to be needed for like a winning time, for a podium time? What do you think in the Deka Fit is a podium time?
Definitely you got to break 30. You got to break 30 for the man. Oh, for podium to win, you're going to have to break 30. I mean, we could have somebody on the podium that was slightly over 30, which I love the fact that it's always great. It's like the 4-minute mile. The fact that 30 for the men is like that. Okay, now you're like top tier if you break 30. I love that. But I think you're going to see some women. I think you're going to see several females under 33. You know, if you look at you know, for easy math, we'll do 18 and 14. That's a 32. But you know, there's plenty of females in OCR that crack 18. Mm-hmm. Plenty. You know, so if you're a 17, 30, and then a 14, 30, you come up at the same time. 32, 33s, you know, trust me, we will sometime this year, we'll have a female break 32. Yeah. I think we'll have a 33 cracked in Dallas and a 30 cracked with the men. And I love the fact that so many of I did this on purpose. Many of the zones are not graduated down for the females. And that's there's, when you look at the history, and we have time, we'll talk about this, the reasoning behind how I wanted to design everything. There's some method to the madness there, but I love the fact that like the ski erg, the rower, the 24-inch box, you know, these are and the bike, that's 4 zones that there's no modification for female, nor does there need to be. But I think to answer your question, sub 30 and sub 33 it's going to take to win in Dallas.
Are you guys gonna do any kind of stream for it? Are you gonna set any kind of live stream up or anything like that?
We hope so. We are, out of respect for just budgets, man. It's tough. We're still living in a situation where there's still numerous Spartan employees on furlough. The purse strings are tight for a good reason. I mean, it would literally be disrespectful to be frivolous with money right now. We're doing everything is pretty tight because it's going to be, projecting the next couple of years. This year is going to be a year where we get back to, okay, we're back on solid ground. We have races now, but there aren't those, Spartan every weekend, there's a race where 12,000 plus people are showing up. If it's a Saturday, Sunday race, and you're paying the bills and you're making money. And this year is going to be way better than last year. Probably 2022, when we really get back to full force. The good thing about Deka is it's not a big revenue generator yet, but we have gyms paying us $99 a month, and as that continues to grow, at least we're able to show that we're generating revenue. We're just, we're just playing things. You're playing things very cautious and careful. Like most businesses, there's not a lot of risk taking going on right now. Put it that way. There's no industry was hit harder than the event industry. Not debatable. We are just very lucky that I will tell you, we have one of the most, let's put it this way. They broke the mold. When Joe's mom had Joe, she took the mold, she threw it off the side of the cliff. That mold was broken, never be duplicated. And he is just a special guy when it comes to, he's very passionate about serving 100 million lives. And he will not, there's no freaking way COVID will bring him down. So if you're wondering how Spartan's doing, it's not pretty, but we're on back on the path to greatness, because that's just the way Joe works. I always say, when I give a motivational speech, if I'm doing a graduation speech or something, I always say, if I'm in a room with 1,000 people, you're not going to outwork me. I'm going to be the hardest worker in the room. Every now and then somebody comes along like Joe and freaking motivates me to work harder than I even like to work, because he's just freaking, you can't outdo him. And you're not going to have more motivation, more inspiration, more fire, more energy and desire to achieve it than him. And it's good. In times like COVID, we're very lucky that we had somebody like him behind the machine. So racing's coming back, my friends, I promise.
Well, and people are itching to get back to them. So keep fighting it. People will be there once they start back up.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a world championship for Deka Fit?
Say that one more time.
Is there going to be a world championship in 2021, do you think?
I'm going to lean towards saying probably not for 2021. If we can successfully put on 6 to 8 of the Deka fit races, we'll chalk that up as a good year. And we're on a great path to that. We have 4 on the schedule right now that are looking good. We get 4 to I think easily we can get 4 more. But I would honestly say if we have 6 or more at the end of the year, fantastic. We're happy. And it just, we don't want to do it when we don't have a good qualification. Technically we could say we have a good qualification standard. We could uplift a championship. We could say that last event is, I don't want to say that we won't do that. My gut is leaning, there hasn't been a lot of, I'll be honest, very transparent. We haven't had a lot of talk about that. So the way it might happen is if we said, well, that last event could be, but we haven't had that talk at all. But 2022, absolutely. Definitely. And the cool thing about it is, and this is where I get really geeked up. So we know CrossFit has their open every year. You guys participated in our open in 2020. Well, once you have 300, 400, 500 gyms across the country, and let's say 50 up in Canada and maybe even more overseas than we have now all of a sudden So we have all these gym owners that are trained. Their fit pros are trained. They've put on 4 or 5 events. 2022, we say, now we have the Deka Open, and it's the Deka Strong, and thousands of people in that area get to come in and earn their Deka mark. So for the month of August, again, I'm spitballing a little bit, but let the gears turn and see the picture that we're talking about behind the scenes. For the month of August, 2022, the Deka Strong Open, and just like with the Spartan game, I'm sorry, the CrossFit games, people come in and it really grows the membership. People come in and they test those 5 open workouts, 4 open workouts. And so people come in and earn their Deka Strong mark officially. And now that's our Deka Open. That's our Deka Strong Open. Their videos are submitted. We have a team watching their videos, meticulously going through those standards like we did with the Open this year. And we have that every year. Maybe 2023, it's a Deka Mile. But that Deka Strong gives us that very standardized test that, snap our fingers, 6 months in the future, now we have hundreds of gyms, 5 or 6 gyms in every major market, in every major city in like Canada, USA. So you can see how awesome that is, even more than something like the CrossFit Games, because now everybody can get in there and participate in it and say they earned their mark. And then throughout the year, practice for that mark and periodically really come to and do that big test. So that's some of the fun stuff we're talking about. And at once a month, like let's say March rolls around, all through February, we're talking to the gym, say, hey guys, in March, we're going to lift up the Deka Strong double leaderboard. The reps, calories, and meters are all double. And then in April, we're going to lift up the Deka team leaderboard. So Bethany and Dave, you guys team together and tackle it as a team, the co-ed team, the female team, the male team. And in May, we're going to do it backwards from zone 10 down to zone 1. And then in June, we're going to do it with the weight vest on. You can see the method there. I've got probably 50 of those unique activations built for our Deka Strong affiliate gyms to really have fun with the gamification. And ultimately, it's to help the brick and mortar gyms provide for their members. And Bethany, as a gym owner, I coached in fitness inside brick and mortar outdoor boot camps for 25 years, dating myself. But if you aren't looking for the next, if you're not looking to provide something exciting for your members, it gets stale. And that's, we've put a lot of method to the madness, Jared and I. Jared has 30 years of experience managing $17 million revenue generating gyms, and nobody knows the fitness industry better than Jared. And together we just have a lot of fitness experience. So there was the method and the madness to kind of really building out that affiliate program to where it provides a ton for a little to support you guys and gals that are doing great work in brick and mortar all over the world. So anyway, another elevator pitch from Coach Yancy.
So one of the things you brought up there was actually switching things up, going backwards, changing directions, doing all that. One of the criticisms Deka's received, one of the criticisms that you guys have received is a bit of brand confusion. Mm-hmm. And I've actually come to you guys' defense a lot. And I'm not just saying that because you're here, but I've thought you guys got a bit of a raw deal. Like you say, you started out, you had the big event plan for Denver, and then everything shuts down. You either have to pivot or become irrelevant.
Yep. So
I see that's when you went to the gym and stuff. How do you guys plan, or do you think that brand confusion will eventually fade away as long as you're running, especially the 3 major versions of Deka, and you run that for a while? Do you think that will eliminate the brand confusion?
Yeah, I love these type of interactions because it allows us to be super transparent with the listeners. I'll give you the quick story. When we first launched, we were going to be separate of Spartan, of course, kind of under the Spartan umbrella, but we were going to be Deka Fit as our name. And you guys probably remember a couple months and we were Deka Fit. And we were kind of the stepchild over here. You got again, COVID wasn't a thing. It was like, we got Spartan, the machine. Oh, we're going to do this Deka thing. Well, what starts to happen is that executive level people, and they kind of start to see, wait a second, this has traction. This is pretty magical what's going on here. And so credit to them that you start to see the vision. And I mean, they were powering this big machine, Spartan. So you start to see the vision, the gears start to turn. Like, wait a second. Now I think we need to put the Spartan logo with it. So for a long time, we were just Deka Fit. So, and throughout these times, we start creating these other activations. I didn't even know what to call them. We're kind of fumbling around with it, to be honest. You guys were seeing our fumbling, and we was like, wait a second, let's get that big red Spartan logo in front of it and call it Deka. That's our umbrella. And now we've been putting on Deka, what we now call Deka Strong events. Early on, we didn't know what the hell to call those, so we came up with Deka Strong. And then Deka Mile just sounds cool because everybody knows the mile. And then Deka Fit, what that allowed us to do, what we love that, but that kind of allowed us to have that historical piece of what we originally came from. All we did was put a space between the A and the F. Now we have Deka Fit. So really and truly, we're Deka. We're Deka, which means 10. Originally it's DE. It was actually DEKA. The decathlon is DECA. But Deka, it just means 10. And so anyway, that's kind of the quick history on that. So we got Deka Strong, Deka Mile, Deka Fit, Spartan Deka. When I say Spartan, I mean the red logo, Deka. That's our umbrella, and we're all happy now. But you're right, man. It'll probably take a year. Even our gym affiliates are still kind of a little confused because it just takes time. And there's nothing good if you've ever run a business. When you go into it this first couple months, if you think you have everything figured out, once you've done enough, you realize that we don't have shit figured out. We got a lot of freaking obstacles to get over. We're gonna look back on them and think, what the hell were we doing back then and there? And we thought we had it all figured out. I wish we'd done that this way, that way. That's where we were. And it's a fun journey though, man. I think everybody, I've always said, if you want to clean up politics, man, everybody should have to have been a business owner once or twice to know what we go through, man. I always want to fist bump, like Bethany, you got your gym. Fist bumps to you. Fist bumps to anybody that's dealt with all the craziness, the hurdles of running a business. There's always 5,000 emails, phone calls, text messages, private messages. We never sleep. And I for people that love it, it's a journey that we never shy away from because it lifts us up every day. So anyway.
That's awesome. So we recently had the High Rocks people on, and I asked them a question, and they got a bit of a kick out of it. And I'm going to ask the same thing to you. So when it talks about finding the fittest person on the planet, recently we've had a lot of claim for this, including Spartan Games had a bit of a tagline along that. So if we were to throw out certain events to truly find the fittest person, say we put out there a Deka Fit, we put out there Spartan Games, Decathlon, and CrossFit Games, which, in your opinion, actually finds the fittest person on the planet?
Yeah, first off, shout out to High Rocks, Christian and Mike and just their whole team, and I love what they've done. There's a cool backstory there that I'll tell you one day when we have more time. First off, I'll start it this way. I've said on a million podcast interviews that two of the greatest athletes that ever walked the freaking planet are Hunter McIntyre and Ryan Atkins. Mm-hmm. They're slightly different. Hunter comes from the power strength side, but he's got world's toughest mutter titles. Are you freaking kidding me? On the team, I mean, the guy can jump into the ultra world and do well. Ryan Atkins the exact same way. He's never been beat at anything over 24 hours, but he can step into the Deka arenas, the High Rocks arenas. I promise you, if he steps into High Rocks tomorrow, Hunter better be looking over his shoulder because he's going to be freaking right there behind him. That's the way those two guys are. They are two of the greatest athletes to ever step in the arena from the male side. We can talk about the female side also. So here's the deal on this question, because it's such a beautiful question. When it comes to this, I like to say, when we created the games, we were on a call one night and we said, listen, early on, the triathlon guys and gals pumped their chest. We're the best. We're the greatest athletes. CrossFit's done it. The runners have even done it. Spartan's definitely done it. So let's take the three of the largest fitness movements the world's ever seen. Spartan, CrossFit, and triathlon. Not debatable. And we've all pumped our chests saying, well, we're the baddest. Okay? Let's tape it down to CrossFit and Spartan. And I'm kind of trying to win my argument at the fact that Hunter and Ryan are two of the greatest athletes ever walked the planet. I firmly believe either one of those two athletes, even Ryan, if they would say, I'm going to spend a year, if you take two of the best in CrossFit, two of the best in OCR, and I would love to do this in formal research. The two CrossFit guys or girls spend 1 year to try to be the best version of a Spartan racer they could be, and the two Spartans spend a year to try to be the best CrossFitters they could be. Who would be the closest to the best with the switch? And that tells you a lot when you think about it. Mm-hmm. Girls or guys. I firmly believe that when you look at somebody like Hunter and Ryan, I firmly believe that they would be slightly closer to the Matt Fraser than Matt Fraser would be to beating Ryan and Robert and John. And Hunter's podiumed at World Championships. Hunter's had plenty of top 10, top 5 finishes, so he's right there. I believe our people would be slightly closer to the Matt Frasers than Matt would be closer to us. So that's why I kind of lean towards Spartan. I totally got off track there, but I hope you enjoyed that because that's a great conversation to have right there. And so I really and truly believe that Spartan, gosh, I'm going to be hated on by the CrossFitters. So I firmly believe that the best OCR athletes on the planet are slightly more rounded than CrossFitters. Freaking huge fan of, you got talking about a guy's a huge fan of CrossFit. So first off, let's put that in the equation. I firmly believe that the best OCR athletes are slightly more rounded when we come to the best athletes on the planet conversation. When you look at Deka and Hyrox, here's the thing, man. We take any of these cyborgs, the top 10 at a Spartan World Championship are all going to be cyborgs in both those arenas. You could say at a Hyrox, you're going to be able to hand select a few more CrossFitters that would be a little better in Hyrox, even though there is 5 miles, because some of those freaking, the sled push, sled pull, and the 100 wall balls, let's face it, people, 80% of people walking the planet can't even come close to finishing that stuff. So you're with that, even though it is 5 miles of running, 8K, you're going to be able to pull in some CrossFitters that would do a little better at Hyrox, where you're going to have a bigger selection of OCR athletes are going to be better at Deka. And then 50% of those, you put them in the soup pot, they're going to be good at Deka and Hyrox. So, man, I'll tell you what, phenomenal conversation. I really and truly think Deka and Hyrox would be a coin flip. You already heard my opinion on Spartan. I think it does a little better job of selecting than CrossFit. Triathlon kind of gets left out. Let's go ahead and say it. Anybody that you would put, this is Yancy. Finally, Yancy gets down to his formal answer. Shit. Anybody that you would put in your top 5 greatest male and female OCR athletes of all time, I would say those are, combine those 5 males, 5 females, so now we have 10. Those are 10 of the greatest athletes to ever walk the planet. And you can't leave out the decathletes who are always, but really and truly, man, I think OCR provides such a broad range. Anybody that would say that we're not in the debate with the decathletes who were before OCR and CrossFit, we always considered them. You better put us in that freaking debate at least. So that's my answer. Gosh, that was a 15-minute podcast in itself. I apologize.
No, that's perfect. And I mean, I've gone through, and I'll tell you what I told the Hyrox people is I actually put Deka and Hyrox in a similar scenario, and I put them above the other ones. The reason being, and I made it very simple before, is skill level or skill sets. OCR requires a great skill set to get through difficult obstacles. CrossFit requires a great skill set to do certain Olympic-style lifting and gymnastic movements. Deka and Hyrox are very simplistic, basic competitions. Like you say, especially with Deka, 99% of the people on the planet can do it, which means you do not have to spend a ton of time learning a skill. You're merely testing pure fitness.
Okay.
That's why I think those two are there.
I'm going to add something to that because your point is so freaking spot on.
I know.
When you talk about the greatest athletes to ever walk the planet, something that gets left out with athleticism and competition, and that's mental capacity, ability to act on the fly from the chin up. I would actually say, and I cannot believe I did a major disservice by not including it in my crazy 15-minute talk earlier about answering your question. It wasn't actually 15 minutes, but anyway, special forces. You take any of our country's special forces, they are all such badass athletes. Physically, they are so fit. They're in like the 1% tier. And here in the US, if you take the Rangers, the Green Beret, the Navy SEALs, they're the 1 freaking percenters physically from the chin down. But from the chin up, they are in a league of their own. This is what I love about Deka and High Rocks. And what I don't love about, let's say, CrossFit. And you could kind of even throw OCR in that, but especially CrossFit. There is not a single, we could take the top 5 most fit Rangers, Green Berets, and Navy SEALs in the U.S. military right now. And they would not even deserve to be in the same arena at CrossFit. Why is that? Because you need 2 to 3 years to perfect half those movements that they do. I love it. They've created the sport in a way where Hunter needed to spend 2 freaking years longer than he spent trying to perfect this stuff. Hunter got knocked out on the handstand walk. Trust me, another 6 months to a year working on that, he doesn't get knocked out. He makes it to the next event, and he obliterates that field in that ruck run. Oh, guys, yeah. Matt Frazier and all of them are in the next county. Mm-hmm. Hunter's so far ahead of you, he's at home and showered in a bed before the rest of them finish. But he got knocked out on the handstand walk. I freaking love High Rocks. Like I'm sorry, CrossFit, like I said, but here's the thing. With High Rocks and Deka, we take those same cyborg SEALs, Rangers, and Green Berets, and dude, you better watch out because they're going to be good in that Deka arena and they're going to be good in that High Rocks arena. Yep. Because they don't have to come in sight unseen. They walk into a High Rocks arena or the Deka arena. Within 30 seconds, they know everything they need to do, and they'll get it done. They may not be real efficient on some of the things. Some of the athletes that have been doing it are going to be a little more efficient, but there's not going to be anything that knocks them out because they can't even freaking do it because they've never practiced it for a year. Does that make sense?
Yep. And that's exactly what I mean by the skill set. And just so you know, Eric Botsford, when we spoke with the High Rocks people, brought up the exact same thing about the military training and those guys and the mental capacity. Both him and Flo we're big on that.
Both Deka and High Rocks would make great standardized testing. Like we're working on a battle of the branches. We have some cool battle of the branches concepts coming up where we're trying to bring all 4 branches together in Deka Strong, Deka Mild, Deka Fit, one or all of them, and see who, like, for example, you must have a minimum of 10 soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines show up, and we include the Coast Guard also. And we take your 10 fastest times, divide by 10, and that's your branch's score. Kindergarten simple, but which branch wins? But the great part about that is 1,000 could show up for all branches. Give me 5 minutes to walk them through the course, and they're all going to freaking know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's becoming the great equalizer then. So we bring in all these different athletes and test them on the same thing. It's funny how the conversations go ultimately the same way with the different people that we've asked that same question to.
Yeah.
Dave, do you have any final questions for Yancy?
No, Yancy, I think we've taken up enough of your time.
Well, I love it, man. I love if you take our ability away from socializing, as Matthew McConaughey calls it, localizing. I love communicating with people, man. And so much of it, and a bummer, so much of it's this way now. Heck, my favorite part about racing is the festival area, getting together, just meeting new people, meeting clients that I've never met, catching up with old people, just talking and communicating. And, one of my mantras for 2021 is don't hate, graciously communicate. And, pushing that. And this was an awesome conversation. And I didn't really know either one of you too well, but now our network's a little stronger. We had a chance to connect, and that's what podcasting is all about. And you guys are doing a good job with it and connecting like-minded people and giving something to kick out there to excite people a little bit on their next drive down the road when they can fire up your podcast and take a listen. So yeah, for all the listeners, man, thank you guys and gals for tuning in. And I enjoyed catching up with Dave and Bethany today, talking all things fitness.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yancy, for all that you do for people to help motivate them and inspire them to get out there and create better versions of themselves. So keep at it and keep giving us something great to talk about.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much.